Welcome, fellow Kiwanians and guests. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me, in reference to the Blazing Saddle movie, let me whip this off. I just want to make an announcement that our reboot committee has lifted all our COVID restrictions as a club. Ray, Reef, and Club, Jenny Lee, everybody who's involved in that committee. Thank you so much. So we can not worry about social distancing or signing off or having our temperature taken or wear these things anymore for a while. So hopefully we won't have to go back to that. Also have an announcement that we have 3 new members were accepted at our board meeting this past week. So, and we just got an application today. So that's 4 in a week. So good deal, guys. Keep throwing that confetti out there. We appreciate it. Our invocation today is going to be led by John Montgomery.
Thank you, President Clark. As you're comfortable, would you join me in our prayer? Oh God, thank you for spring and the hope of warmer, longer, brighter days, however we might personally interpret that with what's going on in our world. Thank you for the coming of growth and life and birth, however in each of our ways we might interpret that. Thank you for the things that are coming awake in this world, however each of us might interpret that. Spring is what our calendar says. May we see signs in our life that spring is real. In your name we pray. Amen.
All right, our song leader today is Gary Durrett. Thank you.
And in honor of a maskless society, we're going to have a participation song. Yeah, it's called The Happy Wanderer. And I'm going to have a line about down through here, Mike Quinn and Sam Lineberger, and you all are the Valeries, and the rest of you are the Valeras. And I think you remember us singing this before. Yeah, so Valerie and Valera. All right, Judy, give me an intro. I am a happy wanderer along the mountain track, and as I go, I love to sing my knapsack on my back. Here we go. Valerie, Valera, Valerie, Valera, Valerie, Valera, my knapsack on my back. I love to wander by the stream that dances in the sun. So joyously it calls to me, come join my happy song. Get ready. Valerie, Valera, my knapsack on my back. I wave my hat to all I see, and they wave back to me. And blackbirds call so loud and sweet from every greenwood tree. Valerie, Valera, Valerie, Valera, Valerie, Valera, my knapsack on my back. Oh, may I go a wandering until the day I die. Oh, may I always laugh and sing beneath God's clear blue sky. Last time. Valera, Valerie, Valera, my knapsack on my back. Good job. Give yourself a hand.
Thank you, Gary. Our Pledge of Allegiance today is going to be led by Steve Willis.
Will you join me in the pledge of allegiance to the flag of our country? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Steve. And you all may be seated. Introduction of guests today is going to be by Pegram Johnson.
Okay, good afternoon. We are fortunate today to have one visiting Kiwanian and 6 guests with us. And I would ask that when I call your name, if you would stand up along with your Kiwanis host, that would be great. And I'm going to start with our visiting Kiwanian, who actually doesn't have a Kiwanis host in our club, but we are delighted to have Charlie Overstreet, who's right here from our Salem club. And Charlie has a very special connection to our speaker in that his son is our speaker. So a proud dad. Thanks for coming. Okay, our 6 guests, and I again ask you to stand with your host. First one is Ryan LaFountain. And Ryan's host is Stephanie Moon Reynolds, who actually is out of town today. Ryan is back for his second visit with us. Steve English, whose host is Tom Miller. Steve is with Pinnacle Bank. And thank you, Tom, for bringing Steve. I meant to say Ryan is the Commissioner of Revenue for the city of Roanoke.
It just got approved by the board as a new member.
I know, I'm gonna catch 3 of them at the end. Chelsea Blake, who is right over here with Blake Creative, is a guest of Gene Bollendorf and Mike Obrachta. Preston Tyler, who is over here, is the pastor at Hill Street Baptist and is hosted by Sherman Holland. And I'm not convinced Sherman is here today, but Preston, we're happy to have you here. Guy Bird is with the Adult Care Center and is right over here. And if you have a sponsor, I think Guy sponsored himself this time. But anyway, delighted to have you back. Oh, Ken Briggs, I'm sorry. And our last guest is Brenna Sullivan, who was outside with Children's Trust. She is hosted by Gene Bollendorf. And I would like to say that the 3 guests who have been approved by the board are Ryan LaFountain and Preston Tyler over here and Guy Bird. So we're delighted to have you all about to sign up as official members. Oh, okay. And I understand that Steve turned his application in today, so that's great news too. Thank you.
All right, we have some announcements today. I believe Tom Miller was going to fill in for Jackie Bledsoe.
Thank you, President Clark. Jackie had to leave a little bit early. I'm here to make the announcement that we are having our annual prayer breakfast that we have not had for several years. It will be May the 4th at 7 a.m. at the Kazim Temple. We will be focusing on unity among all kinds of different religions, and there will be table discussions led by certain facilitators. Dr. Anderson is going to be our guest speaker. We're going to have a soloist. I have tickets available. If you're interested, please see me so that you can sign up and be there. This is something that's been very special to this club in the past, and we've missed it for the last couple of years. And so come see me. I'm the guy to talk to. Thanks.
Thank you, Tom. Really have a special announcement here. I want to bring up Mike Obrachta and Gene Bollendorf.
I'm Mike Obrachta, here representing myself and Gene Bollendorf. Together with Chelsea Blake, who I'm going to introduce in a minute, we're responsible for the fact that our club has a newly designed website. As is typical of many of my announcements, I now have an assignment for you. That website is built to be attractive to non-club members. Non-club members. Your job, if you care to accept it, is to share the link to our website with some folks you think might be halfway interested. If you're successful in doing that, they're going to find a place where they can learn about how to become a club member. They're going to find a place that impresses them with just how much we do in our community. Please share the link. Now, Gene and I might have had some faint idea of what it took to build a new website, but we were totally incompetent in making that happen. I'm now going to introduce Chelsea Blake. Step up to the microphone. Chelsea is the designer who took our concepts and turned them into a reality. A truly professional in her craft. So professional.
So professional that we want, as a club, we wanted to give her a letter of recommendation that she can put in her file. And that way, moving forward, hopefully this will carry some weight in presenting and doing other jobs for the community. So to whom it may concern, we would like to highly recommend Chelsea Blake, the owner of Blake Creative LLC. Chelsea not only gave us a fantastic deal on the job that she did, but she overdid her exceptional on the website. So Chelsea, this letter is for you. Absolutely. And that's not it. We we also, I'll let Mike take this over.
But wait, there's more. Since most of the work she did was in the evenings when she could not afford the time to eat or make dinner, we've taken care of her with a gift card to Carrabba's.
Again, thank you. We can't thank you enough, Chelsea. So I'm gonna invite Brenna Sullivan to come up to talk about Children's Trust. I didn't know you were here. I'm
That's okay. I
sorry.
squeaked it in the nick of time. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for your time and attention this afternoon. I'm happy to be here as a representative of Children's Trust. Again, my name is Brenna Sullivan and I'm Director of Development. Children's Trust is so proud to be among the agencies that Kiwanis supports and sponsors. That is an agency that serves children. And the reason for me being here today is our Pinwheels for Prevention, which is an awareness campaign for Child Abuse Prevention Month, which is the month of April. And my beautiful pinwheels were sponsored in part by the grant given to us by Kiwanis International. So thank you so much for your support. The pinwheels that I have with me today are in packs of 25. If you have a flower bed at home or at your business that you would like to plant your pinwheels in, I encourage you to take a pack with you today. If you do not have a place to plant those pinwheels, they also look beautiful in bouquets, grouped together in a vase. So you can put them on your desk at work or at your front desk in your business. And so we just want to spread as many pinwheels as we can throughout Roanoke to raise awareness for child abuse prevention in April. We also have a volunteer opportunity coming up for you April 1st. From 9 to 11 a.m., Children's Trust staff and volunteers will be at the Arboretum at Virginia Western Community College to plant our massive pinwheel garden. Now, we plant about 3,500 pinwheels every year. And I know that that seems very overwhelming, but we assure you that the more the merrier. When we have more people, it actually goes relatively quickly. So if you would like to join us on the morning of April 1st to plant our pinwheel garden at the Virginia Western Community College Arboretum that is on Colonial Avenue, we encourage you to come and join us in that planting. So wear your blue for the month of April, and thank you so much for your continued support of Children's Trust.
And those details are in your newsletter.
All right, let's bring it. Let's see what these horses have done this week. Let's bring up the team.
Put her in the stall. Okay, guys, so we have some pretty exciting news this week. As we expected, you guys are coming out hot and heavy. The horses are running. You guys are throwing up some serious dust, and we have some very exciting things to report. So, Mike, if we hit slide number 1. So what thoroughbred came out hard and fast this week? Seabiscuit. So Seabiscuits came in this week collecting $1,210. Next, Mike. But look at Joe Limmer. Joe taking over the track this week, and Joe took out our previous jockey with bringing in $700. Excuse me? And what team is Joe on? And who's the captain of that team? All right, next slide. So who feels like they're going back to the barn?
Who needs a little bit of motivation to get their horses running a little bit better?
Use the whip. We're dangling carrots. We're dangling carrots. So this is a prime example of how quick the tables can turn, because last week Consortiums was actually number 1, and this week they're in last place. However, they are in last place with a total of $2,475. Not exactly losers.
Jamie Bailey.
Jamie Bailey.
And she's only within a nose from Seabiscuits. So you guys see how quickly the lead can change in this horse race.
Next slide. So let's take a look at the track. Here are our totals. As we can see, Seabiscuits and Gravy is out in the lead. Right behind that, Jamie Bailey's Consortiums, followed by the Secretariat, and then Maple Stirrups, and Odds On Favorite. Over in the bottom right-hand corner, check out that total. Week number 3 with $20,960, right?
Yeah.
Next slide, Mike. Week by week. Week number 1, we did $1,645. Week number 2, $4,130. And week number 3, $5,185. This week is the best week in KPAD history year to date.
Yes.
So you guys are not gonna, like, you're killing it. You're killing it. Keep the horses going. Sweat equity. Again, please, Mike. So we had our best week, and again, with 5,185. All 5 teams collecting at least $875. That's incredible. And last, we only have $39,000 left to raise.
We got it.
39,000. So as we do our typical weekly math with each other, if we take $39,040 and we divide that by the weeks we have left, that means we need to bring in $6,506 a week. Not a big deal, guys, because that's only $1,301 per team. And if we do that we're hitting 60,000, and that wouldn't even include auction items, which is basically what we're going to do. So I hope you have your riding pants pulled all the way up and your helmets are on and you're ready to be kicking up some dust, because it's going to happen.
Way to go. And just as a addition to that, remember our membership drive is going on in addition to KPAT. So with all these new members, remember to get your, to let Donna Lynch know if you invite people to our events and activities, because we've got 2 membership drives going on right now, and that's being just as successful as this.
Harriet has something. And Harriet wants to make sure, this is Harriet, if you don't know, that's her name. Harriet wants everyone to remember that we are proceeding with the auction, and that you can be just as bringing in as much money as anybody else by securing those auction items. So if you know of someone that would like to donate, you are able to ask for reserves on items. So for example, I'll be securing some jewelry again from Ginger and RM Johnson, and some of those items will have a reserve. Once that reserve is met, anything above and beyond that goes to the Kiwanis Club. So even if your item has to have a reserve on it, that's still okay. You know, as you're spring cleaning and you find something beautiful and glorious in your home that you think someone else needs to have, please keep us in mind. If you do have auction items, we're going to ask you to do 2 things. Number 1, take a picture of the item or multiple pictures. And then we also need a very detailed description of that item and the approximate value. So that way we can post it on the website. We have good solid descriptions, and we know where to start the bidding if we need to put a reserve. So please don't forget to participate in the auction, because we take all things wonderful. And thank you again for being fabulous.
Thank you, ladies. Great job, everybody. I'm gonna, let's get an update on the dance marathon. Reeve Kessler, fill us in.
Thank you, President Clark. All of us know that the last 2 years have been interesting times. We all also know that it has made difficult times for a variety of organizations. That is particularly true with respect to our key clubs. We sponsor key clubs at several different school districts and a couple of private schools. And over the last 2 years, there have been different regulations and rules in each system, different interpretation of the rules by principals in different schools, changing rules all the time. Some of our key clubs have done very well on a school-based program, but getting members from different clubs together for divisional activities like the dance marathon has been particularly trying. Back when the group started planning this year's dance marathon, there was optimism that it would be a face-to-face event as it had been in the past. Omicron came along and they had to switch to a Zoom event. And in the end, unusual circumstances transpired to make even that not happen. Nonetheless, a cadre of devoted students carried forth and ended up raising $6,267, which is less than it has been in previous years, but still admirable on under the circumstances. I'm here to report not only that total, however, but to thank this club for your participation. Of that $6,200, about $1,000 was raised from contributions from members from our club. Lieutenant Governor Olivia Turner, Macy Ware from the Children's Miracle Network, and I would like to thank you for the participation of individuals in our club who made donations. But the real people that would like to thank you are the parents and family of the little children at Carilion who will benefit from those contributions. So again, thank you. And as usual, glad to be a Roanoke Kiwanian.
So I didn't mean to skip over this next announcement here, but Sherry, tell us about Saturday, how beautiful it's going to be.
In my younger days, I would have hopped up to the mic to give you this announcement on behalf of our Spring into Action event that's coming up on Saturday. I'm going to let all that springing and hopping go to Emily Bailey's job description. I think I'm going to skip that. But thank you all, those of you who have signed up to help this Saturday. Thank you so much. We are in a good position to make a real difference. All those hands out there helping to pick up litter, that's going to be basically upstream from the Horton Creek, which adjoins our nature park area. And you probably know I'm co-chair of the Kiwanis Nature Park Project with Rupert Cutler. And on behalf of that project, we appreciate that you're eliminating this pollution, a source of pollution for Hortons Creek by participating. Come Saturday at the Goodwill Shelter, 2502 Melrose. I am baking muffins between now and Saturday morning. If that won't get you out, maybe nothing will, and coffee and juice. So thank you all for signing up for that. And we'll see you bright and early Saturday. If you want to join us and haven't let me know, just come up and tell me. And I have these flyers that I can send home with you as a reminder to show up, because we really do need you Saturday morning. And Rupert's going to give you an update on the Kiwanis Nature Park that morning as well. Thanks, folks.
Mike McAvoy, and I'm here about the Blue Ridge Marathon. We're providing some volunteers for that. Again, it's April 16th. And first, I want to thank everybody who's already signed up. I think we have about half the number of volunteers we agreed to provide. So thank you again if you've signed up. And you have to do that through their website. John Montgomery sent an email out probably about 2 weeks ago now. But the good news is you don't have to find that email to sign up. You can go to our new website because on our new website is a calendar. And on that calendar has all the events that Kiwanis is involved in, including the Blue Ridge Marathon. So if you go to April 16th, you'll see a description there and a link to click on, and that'll take you to the volunteer website where you can sign up. And so please do. And our goal from the website and our designer is to have that calendar be there with all our Kiwanis events, going forward. So you won't have to track down an email from John about what the details are. They'll be on that calendar. So this is kind of a plug for the website calendar, but also for the marathon on the 16th. And we will have, we're going to support the Ironman competition. The race is on June 5th this year, but we'll actually be volunteering and help with registration on the 4th. So that'll be on there. And then later in the summer, in the fall, we're going to help with 2 concerts for First Friday. So that information will be there as well. So anyway, sign up for the marathon. Thank you.
All right, we're pushing on time, but we got one brag buck today. Steve McGraw had something to say.
John's always trying to give me credit for previous brags, but I'm still paying up, John. First of all, Chelsea, you've got to join now because I'm telling you, you've already put up with us. That table, are you kidding me? You can do it, kid. I want to brag on Charlie Overstreet next because we've been friends for a long time. And in my last election, Charlie walked up to me and said, "What is that guy trying to do anyway?" The guy who was running against me. He said, "I'm going to vote for you and you're going to win." And Charlie was right. I won by 39 votes out of 24,000 cast. That was a squeaker. Thank you, Charlie. Vance, he's a good man. At your tables and out here, there are a couple of these flags of the Ukrainian colors. I got this idea from Dan Casey's article in Sunday's paper about having these survey flags. You can put them out in front of your house or wherever you wish. I also brought in some sunflower seeds bought at Northwest Hardware's Salem location. And those are also on your tables and out here. When Joyce Montgomery saw these, she said, "Is that weed?" Thank you.
And speaking of Dan Casey, he's getting crabs this afternoon. Our program today, want to welcome Vance Overstreet with Northwest Ace Hardware, and Bill Bestbitch is going to introduce our guest through Zoom.
Thank you, President Clark. I'm sure most of you remember our former member of the Kiwanis Club of Roanoke, Walter Vance. And as Pegram mentioned earlier, a member of the Salem Kiwanis Club who's with us today is Charlie Overstreet. Walter and Charlie became very good friends when they were in college together. And Walter tells me that he and Charlie came up with a great idea that Walter would call his son Charlie Vance, and Charlie calls his son Vance Overstreet. They thought this was brilliant when they came up with the idea, but it took some work for them to convince their wives that it really was something they should consider. So our speaker today is the third generation president of Northwest Hardware, Vance Overstreet. Vance has a Bachelor of Business Administration with a focus on technology, innovation, and entrepreneurship from James Madison University. He spent his career building sales teams for online software programs, emphasizing educational solutions with Rosetta Stone and Promethean before returning to Roanoke and Northwest Hardware in 2016. Let's give Vance Overstreet a warm Kiwanis welcome.
Thank you, Bill. Pleasure to meet you virtually. Okay, so let's see here. Now, Mike, are you pulling up PowerPoint? So while he does that, I had the pleasure of talking to a couple of you before today's get together. And I talked to Steve Wills. Steve, would you tell everybody what you told me about your experiences at Northwest Hardware? And yeah, and Steve has a great memory of the history, which I'll cover. But we started on 11th Street in Northwest Roanoke, which is why we are Northwest Hardware. And he said something else that stuck with me. He said, if you can't find it at Northwest Hardware, you can't find it anywhere else. And then Dan, right? Mike, I confused you with the Dallas Cowboys defensive coordinator there. But Mike came up and talked to me. And Mike, if you don't mind sharing, I guess, your experience at the Brambleton location. There were two people there at Northwest Hardware that were so helpful to me. Coach, Jamie, they know everything. I can bring in the honest shape part. Broke it in 3 places and they know exactly what a board was doing. And pull it out of that magical drawer that's hidden in the cubby. So this is, and the reason I point out these stories is twofold. So one, we needed to pass the time so that we could get the PowerPoint up. Two, my mouse isn't working. So Mike, if you could take me to slide 1. And I think this is a little bit later in this PowerPoint presentation, if you look back. But I will talk to this because this hits the point that I was making with these gentlemen. This goes back to a very simple adage that Floyd started many, many years ago, as this is our 75th year in business this year. And that's that hardware is service.
And they both hit on it. If you can't find it anywhere else, you find it at Northwest Hardware. Dan brings in a very specific piece, and we need to be able to help him and take him directly to that. And through the ages, the one thing that has remained a constant at Northwest Hardware is customer service. So with that being said, let's see, I'm taking it back here. Are you taking it back, Mike? Thank you. So like I mentioned, 75th year. Last year, we had our very first managers meeting, so very proud of that. Let's go to the next slide there, Mike. And so we were founded in 1947. This is actually the original crew at 11th Street in Northwest Roanoke that I was mentioning. On the far right-hand side of the screen there, you can see my grandfather, that's Floyd, and his team there of roughly 12 individuals. Today, we have 13 locations. We just closed on our 13th 2 weeks ago in Hickory, North Carolina. And Floyd set the foundation for all of this and the growth of Northwest Hardware back in 1947 by understanding that the customers are what keep you going and keep the lights on, and that providing quality customer service is at the heart of everything that we do. Another thing you can't really notice in that picture is on the boxes, just if you can see them right above those gentlemen's heads, they have written in marker the prices on there. So let's go to the next slide there. And again, hitting on the key, hardware is service. That's an adage that we live by. And I wanted to kind of take you back in time, because when you think about 75 years ago, what did things cost? What was it like? Because what I hope to do is take you through a passage of our history, but also the technology within retail that has evolved over the years. And part of that is taking you back in time to, okay, how much did things cost? What was minimum wage at 40 cents an hour? Car was $1,500, $13,000 for a house. That'd be a great investment these days. So let's go to the next one. And this is, and let's click it one more time. So this is a very mechanical cash register. Anybody ever seen one of these or used one of these? All right, I haven't ever used one. I wasn't born yet, but we still have one of these at our Williamson Road location. We don't use it. It's actually hidden in our warehouse. But this was a very functional, because before these, you didn't have the opportunity to ring people up. You would just give them a ticket, you make the payment and move on. So let's click the next one. All right, telephone. All right, how important was the telephone to our business in 1947? I mean, let me tell you something. We were buying from Nelson Roanoke before we made the transition to True Value. And the salesperson would come in and they would look at the shelf, place the order, and you would also use the telephone to call in an order. So it was very important, not only from a customer service perspective, but also from an ordering perspective. The other piece about this that I do want to hit on is that we would also get phone calls, because back then there were typically only one vehicle in a home. And the husband would take that vehicle to work most times, and the woman or the housewife at home would call and say, I need a delivery. And so we would actually have a very robust delivery service back then, so that we could bring the products they needed while the car was away. So this telephone had a very important purpose back in that time of business. So let's go on to the next one, Mike. And then, of course, as I mentioned, how did we price products? How did we know what they were? With the marker, right? So let's go on to the next one. And the reason I wanted to show this picture, this is the picture that we put in the Roanoke Times when Floyd passed away in 2014. But you see him standing here in 1969. We made the move from Northwest Roanoke, as Steve pointed out, and remembers us on 11th Street. And we made that move to Williamson Road. Unfortunately, we had to leave Northwest Roanoke and go over to Northeast Roanoke. But this was a very fortuitous move for Northwest Hardware, as we also 6 years prior had joined True Value. So we were no longer buying from Nelson Roanoke. Our primary wholesaler was True Value. So we made that transition, which enabled us to offer better pricing for our customers, but also focus on one wholesaler instead of having to pull from a dozen, 2 dozen different locations. As Steve pointed out, he bought a set of golf clubs in Northwest Roanoke. I've only been alive 39 years, but I haven't seen a set of golf clubs in our stores since I've been alive.
So, you know, just having that ability to be flexible and be able to buy from anyone. And an interesting story on that is, you know, just talking, we still keep that mentality today. Anybody run out of toilet paper during COVID? So we actually sold 110,000 rolls of toilet paper during COVID. Can you believe that? And the only reason is because my wife works in food service, and she said, you know, I bet Cisco Guest Supply has a warehouse full of toilet paper. We couldn't find it anywhere. So we called Guest Supply. Next thing you know, we were able to supply the Roanoke Valley with toilet paper. So I don't know if any of you got it here. I know I had to. So anyway, that adage, hardware as service, has stuck with us through the years, and we'll find it for you. If we can't get it from our primary wholesalers, we'll find it for you. So we can go to the next slide, Mike. So 1969. So now I'm going to fast forward a little bit, and we're going to go to 1978. So there's a couple of things that are important about this year. So this is 31 years after Northwest Hardware was founded. And this is also the same year, coincidentally, that my historian joined the company. He graduated from Virginia Tech, Charlie. And so thinking about what has changed, so minimum wage over those 31 years went from 40 cents to $1.60. And it is interesting as I take you through this, you know, financial journey, is that you'll see minimum wage more or less is going to affect the cost of everything else. That follows the same multiple. So, you know, pretty much 4X here is what the car value is, the home value, and all of those things. So let's hit the next one, Mike. So the very first, I guess, technological advancement that we saw in the hardware was what they call a Telzon. I don't know if anyone worked retail in 1978 or has ever used one of these. But this is sort of the computerization beginning within retail. And what was great about this product, if you click the next button, Mike, is it actually has a speaker on the back. So when we would call True Value to place our orders, we'd be reading off of a card for the SKU number and placing the order for the quantity we needed. Well, this was a game changer. Why? Because you could hold the receiver of the telephone up to that speaker and it would read off your order for you. So you didn't have to sit there and read it. So, you know, real advancements here. So you hit the next one, Mike. And what else? Credit cards. So credit cards were invented technically in the 40s with the magnetic stripe, but they didn't really hit mainstream until the 70s, 60s, 70s. And this one is an American Express. There's another one that you would use just to read the card. The next thing is an electrical point of sale station. So that would run, you'd actually have a receipt to give somebody. And the next one is obviously, I just wanted to show the telephone, keeps advancing, no longer the rotary, you're moving more to your touch tone phones. That technology came out, which will also affect the next slide. But then what else? We no longer had to price products with a marker. We could now use a handgun. So sticker and label. So we'll hit the next one here. Okay, so one click, Charlie's older brother, Lee, unfortunately passed away a few years ago, right before the onset of COVID. Charlie, obviously, came back into the business in 1978, still working with us today, thank goodness, leading the charge. And of course, as many of you know, Mr. Walter Vance, my name, or I guess I'm his namesake, catching some bass there. And he came back with Charlie in 1978 for 4 years. Yeah, for 4 years. And then he left and set out on his own, had a very successful career. And Charlie convinced him to come back 11 years ago now, it would be. So he was with us for 10 years. And the thing I want to mention about Charlie is Floyd had a very simple adage, you know, hardware is service. And what I love about the adage that my father has contributed to the business is very, very simple. Grow. Just grow. Right. And we don't, you know, and it's biblical. But with that being said, if we're doing our jobs correctly and we grow, 1983, we bought our second store in Salem, Virginia, that I think, John, you were talking about. So there's, you know, all of this growth has compounded, and a lot of that has been thanks to my father that had that mentality to come in and have a growth mentality. And going from 1 to 2 stores, and you know, you go to all these conferences, you meet other ACE owners, and the scariest is the second, because
you're used to running the day to day, and instead of running day to day, you're running an organization. So all of those things happen. So second generation, these men have really set the table for us in our third generation. Mike, if you'll hit the next one. So taking you on the financial journey again, minimum wage has doubled from or more than doubled from $1.60 to $3.80. You see how the values of everything goes up with it. Hit it again, Mike. And so what going through 1990, what was the big invention that changed retail forever? I'm sure someone in here knows. Come on. You got it. All right. The UPC, the barcode. So it was actually invented in the 60s, but it didn't hit mainstream until a now defunct retailer said that every single manufacturer had to put it on their products. Who can guess what that is? What retailer that was? Very close. Kmart. Yes. And so Kmart forced everyone to do it in the 80s, and that is what forced the UPC into mainstream that hits the hardware by the 90s. So your barcode scanners become very prominent. So this is something that creates less friction at point of sale. So as you saw the mechanical cash register at the beginning, you have to punch in every single item, every single price, which elongates the checkout process. So this barcode scanners change everything from so many perspectives. So if you hit the next one, Mike. So just showing here that credit card machines continue to advance with the creation of technology. You're able to swipe your card now and get a check from the bank. And then the biggest one is the point of sale station went from being a punch key to the point of sale terminals, pretty close to what we have today. And this also goes in hand with our ordering process, which we'll hit on the next slide. Mike, I'm sorry, in 2010, taking you down this financial journey from 360 to 725. So you see minimum wage as it continues to rise, how everything around it continues to rise. So that changes, the technology changes. But for us, it all stays the same, with customer service being our number one focus. So you can see the I guess, progression of your card machines, how quick they move. This is more or less the modern point of sale terminal that we utilize. And then the next one is went from a Telzon to an RF gun. So now you're able to print your labels at the shelf. You're able to have, what's called a bin tag. You're able to scan those bin tags, know what you're missing, because before you had to go off of that card stock to understand what you were missing or just know. Now you're able to, have more of a systematic approach to how you're going to order. You're going to say, okay, now that I have this RF gun, I know where this product goes and I know what goes there. So we were actually able to start walking the store with these RF guns, and you would create an item list to say, this is what I need to order. You would then take this item list, you take it to the back office, and you're able to submit that to True Value, and no longer having to call your orders in. It's an automatic telecommunication. So this really, when you think about automating some of the processes, is, that's the goal, is efficiencies within business. And we were able to start to automate some of this, which really helped with our in-stock percentage, customer service, making sure we had the products our customers wanted when they wanted them. And the RF gun and the ability to scan those revolutionary barcodes is what really set the stage for that within our retail industry. So if you'll hit the next one for me, Mike. I only show the telephone because now telephone is no longer part of your ordering. Telephone is simply a customer service element. Miss Blake up here has built a wonderful website for you all. We used to ring off the hook all day asking, what time do you close? What time do you open? Now it's all online. Nobody calls us for that, So, this is really a relic at this point, but it's obviously a mainstay for what we do in our business day to day. And then the last thing, the sticker gun stays pretty much the same. So now, as we move on to the next slide, the third generation is my brother and I and my father, since Walter retired. We get to face the technological advances of today and into the future. So if you'll hit the next one for us, Mike. Now, I do put hardware service here just to reiterate, this is the one thing that is a foundation of our business that has never changed. You see the prices change, you see the people change, and you see that technology changes.
But, we get the benefit of my grandfather and Charlie's father of having built that foundation and that understanding. It's one less thing for any of the entrepreneurs in this room starting their own business to worry about. Just knowing that you have this foundation that has created success, and then how do you build on this foundation, with these building blocks. So you hit the next screen there, Mike. Oh, now this is as of 2 days ago. So I don't know if the price of gas is still accurate for the national average. Seems to change pretty regularly. But the fact that an average new car in America is $47,000, I mean, that just blows my mind. And I haven't even been around that long. Minimum wage of $11. And as you guys know, in Virginia, next January, it'll be $12. So I'm sure that everything else will go up with this minimum wage increase. And if you'll hit the next one for me, Mike. Okay, so today. So this is our modern pin pad. This is a Lane 7000 touchscreen. I'm sure many of you have seen them, if not at our store, at other retail stores. We get the glory of having to worry about PCI compliance. I'm sure many of you saw the Target hacking. What was that, 8 or 12 years ago now? And that the benefit or the repercussions of that is that now all retailers or people that conduct business with these credit cards, you have to maintain PCI compliance, which is just another step in the back end that I know a lot of consumers will never see. But it is a big deal, because if someone were to get hacked, or if we were to get hacked, if you're not in PCI compliance, you may have your consumers' data, unnecessarily detected or found. So this is something that we have to constantly monitor within our IT department. We have to stay within compliance to make sure our consumers have faith in shopping with us. So the next piece is contactless payment. You're now Apple Pay or Google Pay. ACE actually just launched a national agreement with Apple. If anyone in here has an Apple credit card, ACE is the only hardware retailer in America where you'll get 3% cash back for all of your Apple purchases, or you're using your Apple credit card at an ACE hardware. So every ACE across the country can do that. Your point of sale station hasn't changed much. You're just getting more into your marketing database with ACE rewards. Newspaper, Roanoke Times just went out, building was sold. Was a biggest form of communication with our customers in terms of how they know what was going on, the ads, the sales, who we were donating to. And now it all has to be, communicated via direct mail or email. So this is the best form of advertising that we have today. And then the next one there is a modern Zebra TC58. It's more or less a computer in your hand. And we can do everything from the sales floor. And this is the next evolution of customer service, is the ability for us to look products up, be able to order the product right then and there, and the customer not have to go up front. So we're working towards that element. Right now, we do still have to go up front, print a rain check, things of that nature. But having this much technology in your hand, you're able to look it up. If you were looking for a set of golf clubs, Steve, we might be able to find it for you, So that's the beauty of the technology. And then as Ms. Blake has done for you all in creating the website, the other evolution is that we've always been within the confines of our store. How do we get people to come in? And now it's, how do we go out? Life is circular in a lot of ways, right? And so you think back to the telephone I hit on, the rotary phone at the beginning, and we were making deliveries for housewives back then. And now we're making deliveries, because people don't want to leave their house, and Amazon has come of age. And so, our buy online, pick up in store, buy online, deliver from store is now, it used to be nothing of our business, but now it makes up a good chunk, 2% roughly of our business. And all of our products you can see online. And so ACE luckily handles all of this for us. So we don't have to sit in the back office and take pictures of products and put all of the dimensions and the weight and everything in, because they handle that. The only thing they don't touch, which we're developing right now, is the ability for us to link our third-party SKUs so that they're available on acehardware.com, so that everyone can see the products that your locally owned ACEs have. So I guess a good example would be Big Green Egg, Steel. See, these are products that are not stocked in ACE's warehouse. So you could actually see it, buy it online, pick it up in the store, or have it delivered right to your house. And this next one, Mike, I just want to point out, if you guys have seen any of these beautiful red vans around town, those are our delivery drivers making home deliveries. So, we've had to evolve our business with the times and be able to, like I said, life is circular. Now we're making as many deliveries or more deliveries than we ever did back in 1947. So if you'll hit the next one. All right, so the future is already in the works, as you guys can see. So a lot of these things technology wise, I don't have to worry about. But if you'll hit the next one there, Mike, what do we have to think about? So I have to put this in here. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the JMU Duke robots. But on JMU's campus, this is the second year in operation. They use these robots for food deliveries on campus. So it was so successful last year, they actually had to go from 26 robots, they're up to 60 robots now. So what happens is they load the food into the robot, which has got an insulated package there, and then it delivers it just outside of the dorm room, then notifies you on your phone your food has arrived, because it has geolocation on these robots, so it knows exactly where it is and where it's going. And so to go outside and get your food out of this the Duke delivery system, which is pretty wild. The other thing is drone deliveries, the last mile promise that retail is promising right now, and Amazon is working towards, is how do you get your package to your customer, automate it as much as possible, because every time we have someone out there, that's obviously taking away from our bottom line or adding to customers' expense. As many of you have ever bought Uber Eats or anything like that, you see how expensive it is to have things delivered. They just work that right into your end price. So we can automate these things, and it becomes, that last mile promise, so to speak. If you hit the next one. Another item in these times of inflation are digital bin tags. So instead of printing a bin label for every time that the price changes, you would actually just hit a button in the back office. It would change it on the shelf, and there's no, labor involved with having to change that price. And then this is where you check out as you're shopping. So you don't actually have a checkout, because your credit card information is saved on file. As you put the product into the cart, it knows what the product is, and you just walk out of the door essentially. And so these are all technologies that exist today. Hardware in general, typically we're further down the food chain in terms of when we adopt these technologies. Often you'll see these adopted by grocery stores or pharmacies or technology like Best Buy first. We'll let them prove it and be the first mover, and then we wait and we'll just clean up, and follow in their footsteps. So if you'll hit the next one, things that are coming in the future. So robotics as an associate. This is already being tested in Europe. Obviously, it has a very long way to go. But you talk about, the talk right now is about experiential retail. In my opinion, we have one of the best experiences, because as Mike pointed out, he actually knew our employees' names. I don't know what other retail stores you go into where you know their name. But that experiential retail, they're trying to expand that footprint and have it be more automated. Some of the test stores are like shoe stores. They don't even have any shoes out on the shelf. They're all in the back room. You actually walk in and you shop the shoes on an iPad, and the robot goes and gets the size shoe you want to try on and brings it back out to you. These are robots that scan your outs, so that you don't have to walk the store and scan the outs. They actually scan the outs for you. And then the last piece is safety cleanup robots. So where they go around and they would actually clean up a spill and alert people around it to know, hey, don't walk through here, the floor is slippery. So these are all the opportunities of retail through technology over the next decade, and potentially a decade plus. And this experiential retail, that we have, we can all thank to the basis that Floyd Overstreet gave us. And so, so that's everything that I have from a technology perspective, but we'll open it up for any questions. Yeah, so right now we're currently being filled at about a 70% fill rate, which prior to the pandemic, we were at a 98% fill rate. And that's from the ACE warehouse. Additionally, the elongation of the supply chain in terms of the timing, put it in perspective, for Christmas, we used to order around June. And now we had to have our orders in by January 31st. So, we're talking about, and the reason is all that product comes from China, so pretty much all of your Christmas lights, all of your artificial Christmas trees, they're planning that far in advance just to try to keep up with demand. Yep.
You stay after for
Yeah.
questions? Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Just, we're short on time and sorry to cut this short, but Vance and Charlie have agreed to stay after to answer any of your questions that you have. Thank you for being here. We have a we have a speaker honorarium for you, and it's Sleep in Heavenly Peace. And for those of y'all who don't know that, that is construction of beds for children of need. So thank you very much. Absolutely.
They've also been very good about giving back. They've been one of our corporate sponsors for our West End Christmas party for a number of years. I can't tell you how many years. Did you again this year? We want to thank you.
Absolutely. And not to mention the gloves for our new members when they come. Next week, we have, I hope I say this right, Baraka Kasango with Valencia Language Network. Bill Bestbitch is going to introduce them. And guys, enjoy this pretty day. I hope to see everybody out Saturday on 19th for fellowship for Sherry's cleanup. So this all get together and enjoy some great Kiwanis fellowship. Don't forget your pinwheels for Children's Trust to put in your yard and business. And and Ukraine seeds, just plant some sunflowers and spread some love. Thank you all. And we are adjourned.